Alright, it's 6 o'clock, we're gonna get started. Call the meeting to order, roll call please.
Strawbeck.
Here.
Gabby.
Here.
Mayor Norman.
Here.
Dean.
Here.
Grant. Here. Edmund.
Here. Alright, we'll do a pledge of allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. A copy of the Open Meetings Act is posted on the wall to our left. It's also available in pamphlet form at the website listed. Could I have everyone have a seat, please? Thank you. Need approval of the minutes for the September 11th, 2024 Town Hall and the October 8th, 2024 regular meeting.
I'll make a motion to approve.
I'll second the motion.
Dean.
Yeah.
Gabby.
Yes.
Strawbeck.
Yes.
Grant. Yes.
Alright, reports, golf.
Oh yeah, that was me, wasn't it? Sorry. See if I can find the page. Give me a second, move on, come back to this.
Park.
Well, we had a meeting last Wednesday, and we have the trees that were scheduled to be removed have been removed down in the park that were a safety concern right there at the Legion. We currently have Jeannie and Kevin going around and they're identifying other trees in the park that are issues for safety. Basically building a plan for the next year of what trees we need to look at removing. So that's all I got.
I'd like to add to that. So 2 of the 3 trees that we approved for removal were removed. The third one was not removed. And the understanding or the reason for that was that the park members were going to remove the tree themselves this winter during slow time. And I just have a question for Chris because he brought it up that nobody from the city employment was going to be removing trees further is what I understood. So I want to clarify where we're at on that. And before we go and set out a bunch of trees for employees to cut, are we allowing employees to cut trees in the future?
I think that if it needs a bucket truck or anything like that, I mean, if you're cutting down, 5-year-old tree, no big deal, but anything that we need a bucket truck for to bring it down safely? No, absolutely not.
Kevin Hall, Crawford, Rossett. Me and Jenny did walk through the park yesterday. We identified the trees that we deemed safe for our removal and ones deemed unsafe. There's a couple by a transformer box and power line that I feel a lot more comfortable if somebody, a professional, would take care of that. There is trees. I have many other kind of chainsaw taking out trees, and the ones I feel comfortable with and capable of taking out, I don't think it's a problem. But if there's ones that's going to land on the Legion or over power line or whatever, we will leave that to professionals. So we have marked them down in the park with yellow tape for the ones that I feel we're capable of removing, and ones with red tape that we feel that a professional is going to take out.
Do
And
you have the proper PPE? Do you have chainsaw shafts?
What's a chainsaw shaft?
Shafts.
Like
Oh.
the leathers
No.
for
Yeah,
Yeah,
absolutely
PPE, as far as maybe a face guard, we can get one of those.
not. Hearing protection.
Hearing, all that, shafts we do not have. So maybe I'll look into the PPE and get that to you guys on.
That's
check
gotta
where we're at.
be a necessity. That has to, I've seen those save a guy's life. Those have to be a necessity, or I won't agree.
Oh, and then also, is it per our insurance coverage? Do we, I mean, we have to look at these things and,
Sure.
I mean, this is exactly what we talk about every single meeting is the good old way of doing things. We gotta be careful anymore because it's lawsuits, it's insurance isn't paying out, it's bankrupt in the town, it's all these types of things that we have to worry about.
Sure.
So before we proceed, that's why I'm bringing it up now, because what was said in the board meeting there is different than what I've been hearing through the council, and we don't want those conflicts anymore. We wanna talk them out, resolve them before the issues arise. So just understand that there's no tree cutting until we
We'll hold off on
either
that.
find proper equipment or we understand what our insurance liability is on that, so.
Okay, and I
Chainsaw
will
shafts
close.
aren't that expensive, $100, you know.
But if our insurance company isn't covering that, do we go
Right.
ahead and do it? You know, and I'm basing this off of when I walked into the first council meeting, what was being said at that time is that the insurance has to cover the situations of what we're doing for tree removal. So I'm going off with the precedence that was set. If we change that, then we can make a motion to change that, but at this point, we
I
need to
could really
verify.
quote information for the chainsaw shafts. I imagine the steel ones that we get over and shatter are probably a little more than $100, so I imagine
Yeah,
a couple $100.
And the main thing with those is keep them clean, don't spill bar oil on them because then they gum up and then they don't function properly. But, I mean, I'm serious, I saw a guy, he was cutting through a branch and it slipped and it hit his leg right where the main artery would be, and the shafts did their job. They gummed up and stopped the saw before it even cut him. Otherwise, it would have been a fatality.
I would say at a minimum, face shield, eye protection, hearing protection, leather gloves and chaps at a minimum.
Probably a hard hat too.
And it was actually, Crawford, there's also a plan in place to plant new trees in the place of the trees that were taken down. We are working with Jenny Nixon to try and find trees that are more suitable to our climate and our area as well. So that's kind of something. We're not just trying to cut down all the trees in the park, but we are looking ahead to put new trees in their place.
And one more thing for the park, I looked into becoming an applicator. Good news, since I'll be doing it for municipality, city of Crawford, it's gonna be free. It's a self-study guidebook, and I walk into, the testing site the day of, take the test. So,
I'll be a big help.
Alright, is that it on park? Alright, golf.
Okay, so we had a meeting on the 14th. The golf board is currently disputing the financials that were provided to them. So be more of an update when we get that all figured out. They have a plan, Amanda and Faye have a plan to pump the pond in-house. So you guys gave them a pump, right?
Yes.
They want to borrow a pump.
Okay, so they're going to pump the pond down and save us the money of hiring Paul Reed Construction. And then see what they find when they get it pumped down. Let's see. They are starting a discussion of a new price schedule for rental of the clubhouse. They voted to donate their normal, what they donate to the radio for advertising. I forgot to write down what they donate, but it equals out to about $800 worth of membership fees.
I think it's a single membership, a couples, etc.
They did sell out of all the open case alcohol at before the season closed, so they figured they recouped about $1,300. And they need to buy a new safe. And that is all I have on golf.
Okay.
Whose financials are they disputing? The ones the city provided or the ones?
Yes.
What portion of that are they?
The financials that were provided said that the golf course lost almost $22,000 over the season. And they're disputing that. They think that they actually made money.
Scott?
Why are we not just using the sprinkler system to empty the pond? I know originally they said that if they turned the sprinkler system on, they could empty that pond in 1 week.
I thought the original plan was to use the sprinkler system to empty as far as they can, but from my understanding, they don't think they can suck all the way down with the sprinkler system.
Plus there's a gravity feed to it that they can't shut off. So they're gonna need the pump to hopefully overpower the gravity feed that's gonna continuously come in until they can. I don't know what, if the plan is to dig down and put a valve in to shut that off.
You're talking the gravity feed that comes from the river?
From the river, yeah. And plus, what the reason that they're not, going too far down with the sprinkler is because they're getting a lot of silt sucked up in their ruining heads, so.
Swan?
No meeting this month.
Okay. Library?
Yes.
Good evening, everyone. So for upcoming events, we have a Board of Trustees meeting coming up this Thursday. It had to get rescheduled because we couldn't get a quorum. And then elsewhere, on Tuesday, October 29th at 5 p.m., will be the next Crawford authors reading with Roger Campbell, reading from his book, It's About People. So that one should be really great. And then on Thursday, Halloween, at 4 o'clock, we'll have a Halloween social here. It'll be very casual, snacks, spooky readings, maybe some Hitchcock films on the TV and that kind of thing, but food, not just candy. And then we have a Friends meeting coming up November 5th. Chamber of Commerce intends to meet November 7th. And then November 8th and November 12th at 6 and 2 p.m. respectively. Oh, I'm sorry. Anyway, there's going to be a couple of presentations of the community needs response plan that we developed as part of our accreditation process, as well as a review of the survey report. The survey that everybody did will actually talk about the results and kind of how we extrapolate the information from them. So I'll talk more about that in a minute though. And then lastly, November 12th will be the next most Crawford authors reading series. So tonight I mostly just wanted to talk about the community needs response plan to invite the community at large to these presentations that are going to take place. And again, that's going to be November 8th and November 16th. But on those days, the library will present an in-depth overview and review of the community needs response plan that was developed, as well as that survey report. All members of the community, all community organizations or groups are invited and encouraged to attend, and you'll have 2 opportunities to see what we found out and what we intend to do. So over the next 5 years, because that's the span of our accreditation cycle, over the next 5 years, the library accreditation committee identified 3 primary goals of areas that we intend to address. And they're going to be centralizing the communication of community information and resources. The second goal will be supporting local commerce and employment. And then the third goal will be connecting local leadership in the community. So for the first one of becoming something of a community creating a community hub for information and resources. We'd like to, leaving the library and whoever wants to be involved, but especially the city of Crawford, we'd love to collaborate to establish and maintain like a community calendar of sorts that could have a digital and a physical element. And again, this is all over 5 years. This doesn't have to happen all at once or by any particularly named people or anything just yet. But if we had a digital element as well as maybe a physical place in town somewhere, maybe it's at the library, maybe it's somewhere else. But one thing we found in the survey was that there is no consensus on how people find out about stuff or how they prefer to. People obviously expect information online, but that can't be the only route. So that's why centralizing that information somehow for our community was such a priority amongst them. The second goal of supporting local commerce and employment, we'd like to collaborate with the Crawford Area of Commerce, Chamber of Commerce, Discover Northwest Nebraska, which is the Panhandle tourism kind of entity, and even the Chamber of Commerce out of Chadron to develop programming and events for the betterment of local businesses and entrepreneurs. That could take the shape of having presenters come in to speak about those subjects, any number of things. So another thing we'd like to do is to expand on print services, expand our equipment and supplies to better support in-town production of promotional materials for businesses, be that menus, business cards, pamphlets, what have you. So it would be lovely over 5 years to have a nice multifunctional printing device that can print on glossy paper or poster-sized paper or what have you. And then elsewhere, we'd also like to collaborate with the Department of Labor to see if we can't get them to bring in workshops for resume writing or finance management and job searching. So that's a noted problem in our community, or a noted issue that a lot of our community members face. And then lastly, as far as connecting local leadership and community, there was many mentions in the survey, and if you come to those presentations, you'll get more in-depth information on this. But there was a distinct note of the community wanting to have more and better ways to communicate with its city leadership. So they're looking essentially for ways to have regular means to express ideas and concerns that they have. And so as we thought about what we might be able to do about that, we've already started in the sense that we do host community or council meetings here, but we could also host open houses. It doesn't have to be here at the library, but open houses, forums about different subjects and the like. So that would be definitely a collaborative effort between the council, the city leadership, and the community. And then lastly, we'd also like to present more opportunities for civic engagement, volunteerism, and leadership for young people, such as children and teens. So we might be collaborating with the school to develop a sort of committee of kids to identify and execute projects of their interest, volunteer projects they might like to see done. But all in the spirit of showing them how to be involved, letting them kind of get their hands dirty and take the reins a little bit. So again, we'll be talking in depth about all of this stuff, both the community needs response plan and the survey report on November 8th at 6 p.m. and November 16th at 2 p.m. So that'll be a Friday and a Saturday respectively, about a week apart. So unless anybody has any questions about this tonight, that's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you. Hospital. Okay, LNDC?
We had kind of an odd meeting because we had a meeting this month when we were supposed to. We met with the Golden Shovel Legacy group on our marketing that we hired out to have done. And they went over a good hour's worth of what they had for responses from everyone that they'd surveyed. We did feel like we got a pretty good response, or we felt like they got a pretty good response, and they put together quite the presentation. They did email that out, or excuse me, they emailed out the full document. It's about 84 pages long, as far as the results and what they suggest our target audiences that from the survey they feel we could use marketing tactics, projects of purpose and goals and whatnot. So it'll be exciting to see where they suggest we go with it.
Resolutions and ordinances. Number 6, discuss, approve, disapprove signing of the year-end certification of city street superintendent.
Make a motion to approve.
I'll second.
Dean,
Yes.
Grant,
Yes.
Debbie,
Yes.
Storbett.
Yes.
Alright, number 7, discuss, approve, disapprove creation of operations supervisor position. That was the position that we were looking at.
And I guess at this point in time, I would suggest that you come with a job description. That's what the council would foresee this job being. I guess I'd work on that. If you have a couple council people that wanna go forward with this, work on that with me, we can do that. The other thing, you need to look at for this issue and the next issue is where you are budget wise as far as financing these positions, so.
No action on that one. Number 8, discuss, approve, disapprove creation of an ordinance to separate the clerk treasurer position. And that was similar deal. Anybody got anything to add on that? You were looking for
You have the ability,
clarification from
you
us?
have the ability to repeal the ordinance that you currently have that merges the two positions. Again, budgetary issues that you put in a budget line for both positions should you split them. Again, the ordinances, if we repeal the ordinance that merges the two positions, there's still separate ordinances for each position, so we don't have to go as far. You're probably gonna wanna create a job description for both, because is one gonna be a supervisor or the other? Don't know, but I think the budget's the first issue. Can you finance a split of the position? I don't know.
So, if we're looking at this, my question is, are we adding a position to our current office staff, or would that be what we're looking at?
I think it needs to be discussed, or whether this would be quite a shakeup for City Hall. So maybe we look at redesigning the whole office.
Okay,
Question,
Yeah.
would both the, if you
Can
were
you-
to,
can you
oh,
start?
sorry, Patricia
State.
Stetson, morning. If you were to separate the clerk and treasurer position, meaning one would do finance and, or income, finance, and the other one do treasury, would both have to, is that the goal, is to separate the one who's putting the stuff in the bank versus the one who's paying the bills? What's the purpose?
And I can't speak for them.
Okay.
Typically, the treasurer position would deal with all the finance. Deposits, withdrawals, claims, warrants, that kind of stuff. Shadow split, we have a clerk that does the clerk things, which is meetings, minutes, notices, those kind of things. And then they have a finance department, which deals with the, now there is some cross-checking, which is a job description they have. Checks and balances, I think is what you're
Right.
referring to.
Yeah.
So, there would be some of that, I think, but needs to be ferreted out a little bit before we just jump into it. And again, it may mean reshuffling the city staff, or it's just, there's a lot of questions that need to be answered.
action on that. Number 9, discuss approve, disapprove ordinance number 698, approving the execution and delivery of a second amendment to the service agreement between the city of Crawford and the Solid Waste Agency of Northwest Nebraska. The agreement was approved in the July 9th, 2024 council meeting.
Point for, isn't that a resolution instead of an ordinance?
Yes, it is a
Yeah,
resolution.
sorry. Resolution number 698.
And what it comes down to, boils down to is the city of Crawford agreeing for Swan to take out a $2.6 million bond for the replacement of the baler and a new building.
So we read through it all, we just didn't put it through our agenda as a resolution, and is that what ended up happening?
They did not provide the resolution.
And now we have it.
We just have the agreement, and
Okay.
that was dropped off at the end of last week.
Do we just need to read it? Okay, I'll make a motion to approve.
Second.
Grant?
Yes.
Dean?
Yes.
Gibby?
Abstain.
Abstain. Okay. Storbeck?
Yes.
Alright, new business, number 10, discuss approve, disapprove signing of the year-end certification of the city street superintendent.
Make a motion to approve.
Is that one a duplicate?
Is this,
That's the
is this like different than number 6?
Yeah, it's the same one, I think.
There are 2 separate forms that need to be filled out and executed. So the prior clerk, that's how it was
That's right.
done in
I
the
forgot
agenda,
about that.
so.
I apologize. Do we need to state who we're using's name for the record?
You should.
Okay. We're using Brendan Lilly, that's who we used this last year. That is, who I recommend moving forward with, so.
Make a motion to approve.
Second.
Gibby?
Yes.
Dean?
Yes.
Grant?
Yes.
Storbeck?
Yes.
Alright. Number 11, discuss approve, disapprove the option to put up a public scale for Alicia Robertson's agenda request. And I see Rich is here, so
You're stuck with me.
go for it, Rich.
I've only got 2 copies. But, essentially, guys, what, we're dealing with here, you know, the old grain elevator that's owned by West Plains Grain. The scale is not certified, nor is it going to be. I imagine it's probably going to be abandoned. And then we'll have another relic. I don't know how we handle that. I approached them about purchasing that, but there's a question on what ground it sits on. And I would assume it's railroad property, like some of the other things here are. And the price point was just ridiculous. $300,000 for a rusted out vault and a scale that isn't large enough to accept the truck size. I mean, the trucks have gotten bigger. So this one has not been certified since March of 23, so it's not legal for transactions that involve any monetary exchange of money. It's been used a lot over the years for free. You know, the monitor points towards the window, so and I just, because of our proximity to where we are, I get to witness this, and I try to help if somebody needs a key, like to print a ticket. We were supposed to be collecting $10, which is what we've always done, passing on to West Plains, which they've sold most of their entities out to Legacy Co-op. So this one and the one in Chadron they're going to be there for somebody to deal with. And then the free use of it, you know, it's about $1,500 a year to get a scale certified. And by law, we're regulated to do it twice at the barn. I think for that kind of commerce, annual is enough, but it probably should be a couple times a year depending on traffic, I would think. And I don't know if this one's off or not, but we haven't been using it, so we've been having to go to remote locations. I'm speaking personally, And Doug Hammond with Superior Livestock, he weighs a lot of cattle here too, and so does Cow Country. Northern does some work, and these are all video companies that market livestock, guys. So we've had to drive further to get to Hemingford, Shadron. We're over past Harrison to, there's a nice one at the Thompson Seed Potato Farm there, and even up to Maverick Junction. All nice facilities. But we're looking at exploring an option to get one installed in town for local commerce. There is a lot of hay that moves out of this community, and a lot of cattle too, that directly, you know, impacts our economics here. We, Alicia and I, we have been kicking this around for a while. We would like to form an entity of private donors, local, you know, producers, to contribute into getting this thing built. And I've, you know, in casual conversations, without talking to you guys yet, I didn't want to say too much, but it's something that's been very receptive to local people, especially guys selling hay, because they want to be able to weigh the hay and get a check for it. And it's a convenience issue too, but we're looking at about $130,000 to $150,000 expenditure. And that was a month ago price, you know how things are changing. So I think if we, and what we need your help on with, guys, is we need somewhere to put it. And there's been some ideas kicked around on the viability of that location. But one thought that I've had is if it could be access off the highway, we would alleviate that, just that much more truck traffic on our streets that we know are fragile. The burden would be on the state to maintain that, you know, what they do. But if we could find a spot close to the highway, that would be the easiest and simplest to keep, because this is the main throughway right here. Or, I'm sorry, behind, on First Street. And it's getting pretty rough. We can't do anything about the trucks coming to the sale barn, that's where we are. But we could eliminate some traffic from, I mean, these hay trucks are getting bigger, cattle trucks are getting bigger. Anywhere from 80 to 90,000 pounds pounding on our streets, so if we keep just that much more of it off, that would be helpful. One location we thought of was the balloon shop here. And I know that over the years since I've been here, there's been some talk about economic development down there, but I haven't seen, you know, for whatever, all the reasons, and we could get into that, it hasn't happened, it wouldn't take up a lot of space. There's power there. We would need somewhere to turn around, but if we could consider doing something there, you know, we're in a position where we could pay something for the land. It would be nice if the city would work with us to maybe grant us a chunk of it for development for that. And you know, and it's all kind of laid out in here. We're not gonna do a nonprofit because there's so much paperwork to get through for that, so it would be pay its own way. And the expenditure is gonna be a little bit higher because we would like to just be able to have the truck driver pull up, get out his $20 bill, stick it in there, spits out a ticket. It has a unique code on it. So next time he comes back loaded, he punches in that code, he gets his another ticket, and he goes on about his business. We thought about doing a credit card machine, but that adds another $27,000 onto the cost, and you need fiber optics to go to it. We just really thought that if you can't have a $20 bill, maybe it's not for you, but, and it's all in here, guys. What I could do to help facilitate this, it would be, make sure it gets certified in a timely fashion to be legal. You know, we have equipment where we could take care of snow removal, and I could monitor the maintenance if necessary. That would be a way that I could help, and we would chip in too, because it's gonna benefit us from a livestock market position, mostly our video cattle. We move about 23,000 head of video cattle in the summer. And not all of it would be here, but a good chunk of it is. So that would be one way that I could help keep this thing going. Our partners would each contribute equal capital to it. And you know, I've already had commitments for you know, verbal commitments for $10,000 at a whack, so. If we could kinda keep that level, it wouldn't take long to get this funded. Partners would share in the maintenance and responsibilities, that'd just be conversations, that would honestly be my job. I'm right here, I go by every day, I can check it. Or, of course, any problems that are related with it too would be my responsibility if there was a mishap. You know, you can't predict all the variables that could go wrong. However, if we were to try to refurbish this one, you guys know how difficult it is to get down there now with the truck. I mean, because of what the railroad has done with that. And getting turned around there is, these guys with these $130,000 pot trailers, cattle trailers, is turning that sharp is awful hard on axles, and it's a lot of maintenance and expenditure, so then that gets passed on to the guy that they're hauling cattle for, so everything goes up. So, and this one is only 70 foot long. It was great back in the day, but now most of the trucks won't fit on it, so we're looking at an 80-foot scale that would serve everything that's on the road now and in the future. I can't imagine they're gonna be allowed to get much bigger, you know, just because of the damage they do to the highways. They'll probably put more wheels on there, would be my guess. There wouldn't necessarily be a profit, but if by some miracle it made some money, it would go back to our people that invested. We're hoping that the $20 fee would pay for the certification and anything that minor repairs. But there are several of them scattered around the country, and I've been studying them as I've been using them. There's a company in Scottsbluff that seemed eager and willing to come up and help us get this done. It would definitely be a next summer project. Obviously now that kind of traffic's kind of fizzled out, but we want to do it right. I told you about our role. My guarantee would that I would be there to see that it's operated efficiently, maintained, and that you know, to help my partners realize something that might be appreciating, hopefully in value. The more we get, more traffic we have on it, the more it generates. So, but there's a lot of local people around that need it. So I'm open to suggestions on location. There are a couple other opportunities. My first thought was alleviate the traffic coming through town. So, you know, we're asking for your help and your consent on taking this project on and working together to figure out where we could do this that would work for everyone. But like I said, any ideas anybody has would be great.
May I suggest one area I want to see that would work for you? Would that be okay?
Sure.
Jennifer Dean. The west side, right where the information booth is, the west side, even if you came this way or came off the highway, I mean, you guys would do it right and make it look good, close to information area. Never grows grass, the trees die, it's hard to mow.
See, that's tough to mow. It's looked pretty
I
dusty
mean, you'd
in
have to take
summer
some
doing
dirt
that
out maybe
job.
to make it flat, but.
And we're not opposed to that. I didn't know how much of the state high or right of way, you know, I haven't had time to study or have anything surveyed, but that would be, seems reasonable. I mean, there'd be quite a bit more of dirt work to do in that scenario than say over here, but that, we always need dirt down at the sale barn. We could get rid of that easily, but that is an option. But I'm here to ask you guys what you think. If you have any bright ideas at the moment, that we could talk later too. The location's gonna be pretty important. We need power. And at this point, it won't need an internet hookup. If we get rich on it, I guess we could upgrade, but I don't foresee that being the case. But at any rate, 130 to 150 is a ballpark figure they shot me, but it's based on concrete costs at the time, which have been going up, you know, seems like quite a lot. So that's where we're looking at right now.
So are you asking the city for property? Are you asking for money to help facilitate the building of it?
I'm not asking for money. I know the situation. I would ask you to consider the property, but also if you would sell it too, that would be doable for us at a reasonable market value.
I don't know if we can legally do that, that's the same issue we had before.
There would be an issue with that, with bidding requirements and those kind of things.
What about
Possibly lease.
a lease agreement would be doable?
Possibly.
Okay, so we could explore that.
Mm.
I know in the past that there's been ground given to different things too, so I don't know if that would, I mean, it would be an asset to the community. It's needed for local commerce, so I understand giving something away is a hard decision, but it's something that you might wanna consider when you're making those decisions. And if I could have a minute, this isn't on the agenda necessarily, I had something I wanted you guys to study.
If it's not on the agenda, we're not really supposed to do it.
Well, it is intertwined with the value of this project based on economic impact on the community. I'll just give you a brief overview. I've got copies here for you guys to take if you wanna look at one. You know, this scale is a big important part of what we do, so it would be intertwined in our business. We don't wanna own it, first of all for the cost and the return, but we wanna be a big part of it because it does directly help us too. This is a study that was performed by the Livestock Marketing Association on economic value of a sale barn in a community. Now, this was one in Missouri, and it was similar, close to similar in size to ours. You know, there's ebbs and flows on cattle production in a given area, depending on drought conditions, economics, people retiring, whatnot. But this particular one was kind of an average. They surveyed 850 markets across the United States. And this was updated recently to, it's basically a couple $1 million on a market of that size that either directly or indirectly affects the surrounding town. And it was a much bigger town, so it's not apples to apples, but just something to kick around. I know we don't collect sales tax. That's not how a commission business works. We are regulated not to. But I can tell you our payroll last year was $550,000. And a lot of those people are spending money in town. Some of them live in town or close to town. And then, you know, like things like the cafe bring business in. But I can tell you this, when I go down to the gas stations or the bar to grab a hamburger, they know if there was a sale or not that day. So we're not everything to everyone, but we are a big part of what, you know, we're pretty proud of it. And then there's this survey, and I can leave this for you guys. So it's all available online. We can print off another one. It just kind of gets into the nuts and bolts of this, but this is terribly intertwined into our existence and our future too. And I don't want to discount that, but it is for the community. That is our intent. And if we can help facilitate that with your help, we will get on it. So, okay. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Oh, one last thing. If you guys want my personal number, most of you have it. I'm open to communication anytime, and not just on this, anything, but especially this. If I could get an idea of a direction, we would sure like to get the ball rolling, because to get construction done, to get product delivered, we know it takes months and months, especially to get an electrician to show up.
He shows up for breakfast.
Well, that was his dad's skip, but he knows better than that, so. Thank you guys for letting me.
Thank you. So, we'll move on. Number 12. Discuss, approve, disapprove cemetery deed for Richard Huggett.
I'll make a motion to approve.
Second.
Grant,
Yes.
Dean,
Yes.
Strawbeck,
Yes.
Gibby.
Yes.
Number 13, discuss, approve, disapprove replacement of the rear wheel drive shaft U joints by Pine Ridge Service Center at $500,
and return front drive shaft U-joints and order assembled new drive shaft for the city Dodge truck. And by Dodge truck, it's their newest one. I believe it's a 4-door. So on the front shaft, right now, we won't take that into consideration. He's getting quotes on that, but the rear one, from what I understand, badly needs replaced. So,
I'd just like to make a request, anytime we mention a vehicle that's within the city that we're referring to, please make sure that it is included your make, model, and last 4 of the VIN, so that way we know when something comes up, if we've got 8 Dodges, we know what truck you're talking about, please.
I was told that somebody got multiple bids on this, is that correct or not?
Yeah.
Because I was told they would be presented with this.
No, there was no multiple bids.
Now, this is not the same truck that we had the estimate on.
No, I know, but
Okay.
I thought that it was.
So does Tim Schultz get quotes?
So Tim,
That's on the front though.
So Tim for the rear, and he told me this is Pine Ridge's quote, as it states here. I asked him to check with Creighton to see if Creighton does that kind of stuff and what Creighton would charge. Creighton said he does not, or they don't have the time to do it, does not do it, but from what Tim told me, that $500 is not an unreasonable price at all.
Yeah, I talked with Tim about this, and he said that what is specific about this drive shaft with the U-joints is that it takes a special tool to take it off. Everything has to be set correctly when you put it back on. And, that's pretty much where that's at. And so it's not like I'm a homeschool mechanic, I can drop that U-joint down and put a U-joint in something, but this is specific to the vehicle and takes certain tools to take it off and put it back on, so.
Alright, Kevin.
Maybe I can clarify a little bit. So there's 3 U-joints that need to be replaced. The 2 back ones are not a problem for Pine Ridge to do. The one up front takes a special tool, and nobody wants to touch it without the front drive shaft. So the 2 in the back can be done. The 3rd one, Pine Ridge, Creighton doesn't want to touch it unless they have that front drive shaft and install the whole shaft instead of trying to throw around the 3rd U-joint up front.
Could that be taken
Thanks,
to
Scott.
Dodge, and they probably have the right tool?
The dealership probably.
So you want him to search out further bids? Is
So
that
let me, I'll clarify that too. If we have the front drive shaft, which we don't have quotes for and everything, those 2 folks would be able to install it into that truck.
Because the recommendation Creighton said just buy the drive shaft with it already in it, and anybody should
That
be
would be
able
the
to
3rd
search
one.
that out. Yeah.
Right.
So that takes away the tool issue. Correct?
Right.
So it's something we need to ask for estimates for the other things, we can reconsider at a later date.
Which, that's on the front end. The back end was the one right now that I was wanting considered.
We need to get this fixed, cause it's one of our plow trucks, correct?
No.
No. Okay, then,
Been designated as the water truck, I just drive it to and from the plant, so it's not getting a huge amount of
Wear and tear.
crazy wear and tear. I drove it today, it needs to be replaced, but it's not the end of the world for right now.
is this gonna cost us more money if we take it in twice,
Yes,
or just wait and have it all done at once?
yes.
That's right.
Okay.
Alright, well, we'll take no action at this time. Till we get further information on the front end. Alright. Number 14, discuss, approve, disapprove, department heads or board members providing updates once a month. The set schedule will be determined by the mayor, so. I'm not sure when that switched, do you know, Adam? They used to report monthly. Do we need to do anything specific to that, or just stay?
Just let your department heads know, they'll schedule it. They've done it sometimes, and not done other times.
Okay. Edward, or Ashley?
Ashley Black Sheep Crawford. Almost to the day, exactly a year ago, a very similar item was on the agenda and approved by council to have department heads report monthly at council meetings. So I don't know if that's helpful as you go to build this forward, but there has been approval on that already once.
Okay.
So
Thank you.
It just was a matter of letting your department heads, and I don't think they have to do it every meeting, but
No,
it's
yeah.
first meeting and second meeting.
Swan and Golf should be the second meeting of the month, because it's following their meetings.
Yeah, I was just gonna say, I think just let us department heads know and give us a schedule when you want us to come. We'll come talk to you. We're open book.
I think it was just, you just wanna add those to the beginning of the front meeting?
What's that?
Would these be items that would go?
Just
in
reports.
reports?
It'd be under reports.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think just let us know.
Well,
We're more than happy to.
I'll, I guess, come up with a schedule. So, anything else anybody wants on that? The billboard, yeah, well, anything that involves our city, I'll probably have to put on there. So, alright, number 15, discuss, approve, disapprove, reviewing city council schedule for November and December of 2024. And so the issue with that is kind of the dates stuff falls. The November city council member is 2 days before Thanksgiving, the second one is, and the December one is that day before Christmas Eve. Is that correct?
it is Christmas Eve.
Or it is Christmas Eve?
Well, I'm guessing that everybody, all the employees still want paid, so we're gonna have to have at least some sort of a meeting, right?
Well, can we do it the previous week?
Yeah, see, they agree, so.
We like to get paid for Christmas, yes.
I don't see any problem with the 19th being the same week as Thanksgiving, if it's not
Okay.
anything that's drastic, so I don't see any reason with that. As far as, the one that's Christmas Eve, can we just hit the Thursday before?
Yeah, I'm fine with that. As long as
That
that
would
works
be
for
the-
everybody
The
else.
19th?
I'll just let everybody know, I'll be gone almost the entire month of November for a memorial service and then, vacation, so I will not
Those
be.
2 meetings, you're off the council.
Well, I so be it. You told me it was that easy to get out. But I can make the first meeting of the month, the second one, it just determines when it is, and I'll be back in town for like 2 days before I'm leaving.
So the 19th and the 19th?
I don't know yet.
No,
Sorry.
that's,
The 10th and the 19th.
no, the 10th and the 19th.
The 10th.
December.
Oh, December 10th and December 19th.
of
No.
December.
December.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we would do
The
First
10th, and
meeting,
then
the
they
10th,
move the
and-
second meeting up a little bit, so it's not on Christmas Eve for the 19th.
I'm cool.
Would that work?
Yeah.
And the Thursday, Tuesday, Thursday.
So when's the first meeting?
The
The
10th,
10th.
and then the 19th.
And
would
we'd
be
be able
the-
to approve payroll.
The 10th doesn't change, that's the
Yeah.
normal, that would be the normal
And
day.
we'd be able to approve
So we
payroll
just do
for
it the
next-
third
Thursday
day
before
before.
we go about it. So,
Unless you wanna do it the Monday before, but I don't
I'm good.
know that that's,
Mm,
we should do it the first.
December's fine, just don't interrupt my nap.
I mean,
I'm sleeping all of December.
Everybody's gotta work.
alright, so do we have a motion?
Motion to approve the dates.
So the 10th, the only one that changes is the 24th to the 19th, then,
Of December.
correct?
So November doesn't change at
No,
all?
November doesn't change.
And didn't last year we just, all it was approve bills and claims?
Yeah, we didn't make it to the right.
You will be out of town.
Huh?
You will be out of town.
On the Thursday.
On the 19th?
Oh, never mind, sorry. Never mind. Someone said November.
Ma'am, who are you?
I know, right? His mother left, I know, sorry. Sorry.
Alright,
So-
Make a motion to approve her.
To change from December 24th to December 19th.
Yeah, what she said.
I'll
Okay.
second.
Dean,
Yes.
Grant,
Yes.
Getty,
Yes.
Corbett.
Yes.
Number 16, discuss, approve, disapprove the powerhouse quote for a mulch kit in the amount of $480 for parks. Yes, go ahead, Kevin.
It would be wonderful if we had it, and this is the reason why, figuring out how long it takes for two guys on two mowers to mulch park, it costs the city about $460, and that's just one mulching. For one guy with a mulch kit, with a new mower, it's gonna cost about $80. And you just don't go through and it's one and done, you mulch the park several times to keep the weeds broken up and keep the grass ready for the springtime. So it is kind of a high upfront cost on the end. We had to bid it out at $640 to start with. We got it down to $504. Park board said if I get below $500, we can get it. I got it down to $480. So you're looking at one mulching as the cost of this mulch kit for the brand new mower that we have. And like I said, the park board said yes, but let's bring it for council and ask you guys if we can pull the trigger on it and get it. That's all I got. So for discussion is.
So, you guys put it on?
Oh yeah, yep. So there's a different set of blades that mulch, and then it's a rear discharge machine, which means that it doesn't pick anything up, it just pushes everything out the back. But you have baffles with the mulch kit that plugs everything up, and then chops everything up, picks things up and chops it up.
Make a motion to approve the purchase of the mulch kit in the amount of $480 for the 104.
I'll second it.
Getty,
Yes.
Storbeck,
Yes.
Dean,
Yes.
Grant.
Yes.
And then 17, discuss, approve, disapprove the floor color and cove base color for community building floor project.
The whole reason you all came tonight to pick the new floor color.
We want this color green. Or that color in blue.
I thought you were going to green with the blue spots.
Just an update, we had Panhandle, Geological, and Environmental Services come out to, for example, yesterday. Hopefully, without any reason, it won't be approved. They're just checking the moisture content to make sure that the polyurethane seals to the floor and everything. The biggest thing I need from the community, from whoever, I don't care what color it is, you guys want me to get orange for school colors. Most popular are concrete gray, and we discussed kind of a beige color. So if we can pick that out to make sure they have the paint when they're ready to paint, we could do it. And then also the code base color, which I think you have samples
I think
right there.
we just, amongst ourselves,
Right.
we picked one, I just,
And
I
don't
mean,
care about it.
I shared a picture with the council, knowing
Right.
they might go with something completely different, but.
Well, I don't care, I have no dog in the fight, but I would like to have everything prepped and prepared, because we have a month to do this. They start getting all the 10th through the 12th, all the prep, and then they're gonna start painting it, the 22nd through the 23rd, and then a final vote on the 27th. So if anything's delayed, I don't know if there's any Christmas projects going on in the building for December, they will be canceled, if we can't get the floor done in November. So we need to push to have everything set and ready and go on the first, so.
I'll make a motion to go ahead and accept the concrete gray as preferred or recommended.
Well, yeah. It doesn't matter to me.
I'll second.
Yeah.
Grant,
Yes.
Dean,
Yes.
Getty,
Yes.
Storbeck.
Yes.
And that is the cove base too,
Concrete trace.
for the cove.
That would
No,
be
the code, what,
No, I'm saying we accepted the concrete. grade.
Oh, I
That's the
Or
color, it's a
are
solid
we-
color,
are we-
there's no
are we
sprinkles on it,
approving-
there's no nothing, it's just one solid
Are
color.
we approving this gray code base also?
That's what it comes with.
No, you can pick,
No,
there's several
no.
different
Yes, I'm
code
gonna pick
bases
the
that
gray
you can
too.
go with.
Thank you.
Gray and gray.
Yes. You can amend my motion to be gray and gray then. Thank you.
And I'll second the amendment.
You don't want an accent to go with it.
Not this time.
I mean,
It's a do.
I put it forth to the city hall ladies, and they seem to have a different opinion.
Yeah,
You got
you normally want darker colors for your base.
we went over to the community building. The concrete gray floor color was a consensus, but we looked at what gave contrast, but also kind of blended in. It's a grayish kind of a code base. It's enough darkness to be a contrast, and it goes with the weird stuff on the walls.
Make a decision and we'll follow through.
So, are we good, or do I need to call roll again?
What you just
I'm
said.
pretty sure we put through a motion, so. thank
Okay,
you.
okay, moving on.
So, the first one didn't include the,
They already motioned and seconded.
And amended.
what's that? Yes, that's what it is. So we need to vote on this.
Okay. Grant,
Yes.
Dean,
Yes.
Debbie,
Yes.
Sorta.
Yes.
Alright. Number 18, discuss, approve, disapprove street closing on November 2nd, 2024 from 7 a.m. to 5 p.m. from Main Street and Lynn Street to 2nd Street to Gibbons Honey, and approval of 2 employees to help with cleanup at 4:30 for the annual cattle call event.
Last year it was just 10.
To help clean. This year they're walking
You
to.
were there too?
No. I was told I'm the liaison to the street department. We don't have a problem doing that. They put their 40 hours in. Would be time and a half, or we could reschedule our schedule during the week to where we just have it 40. But you are calling them out on a weekend when they'd like to be drinking beer with their buddies. A, and B, they would like to have boots on the ground, AKA help. So like when they have the cattle call and everything, they pick up the fences, they don't jam out, but have help actually get into the loader and into the dump truck. That was their request.
I'm gonna jump in on that. So what happens is Tim goes down to the loader and he scoops up chips as best he can from the loader, and the cattle call people that put it on are supposed to help
And they don't.
load it up, and they don't, they just scatter, and he gets as best what he can with the loader, and then there's a bunch left over, and people are bitching about all the wood chips in the street. So those people that are supposed to be volunteering and help clean it up, they need to stick around and help clean up, is basically what Tim's asking.
So would you prefer us to just approve to close down the streets and they can do their own cleanup?
That sounds great.
Who's gonna supervise that?
It's still gotta go back and, are we running a street sweeper that day?
It'd be the loader and the dump truck, and then a final cleanup could be the street sweeper. But right now it's winterized, or will be winterized at that time. When is cattle call?
November
November 2nd. Well, it's just time, effort,
What
and
if
if we
we,
could all collaborate, I don't think it'd be a big issue, but to dump it on the streets, because there were people that volunteered last year that thought drinking with their buddies was more important than cleaning up, and it was Tim.
so
I
what
know,
if we,
I saw that.
what if we make a motion to approve the closing of the streets and to approve with helping as long as they show up to help? If nobody shows up to help, our guys don't work.
Or what if you charge a fee? I'm sorry.
Or that.
Jennifer Dean, why don't you charge a fee like you do your community building?
Yeah, we could do that
I
too.
think it's appropriate, cause then it pays for overtime, and then you don't have to mess up the schedule with whatever.
Wonderful, yeah.
They usually come and ask for cleanup funds for us too.
Oh, too late for that.
I don't think they do. I mean, it does bring people into town, whatnot, but I do think it's appropriate for them to help or furnish stuff.
What's the number of hours that, that our employees would be cleaning up for?
If you're on call and you take equipment out, it's 4 hours minimum.
Correct.
Whether you take care of it in an hour, or whether it takes 4 hours.
But how long does it normally take?
I wanna say about 2 hours.
2 hours? To do it as best as you can, I mean,
Yeah.
So you're asking for 2 employees, that's 8-hour pay.
Yes.
At time and a half.
at time and a half.
So it's actually 12 hours of pay.
Can I
And
say
who are the employees?
To be decided.
Rich, with the point of the
Well, when this, project was initially conceived, I was, working with Sam and remember who else was on the committee to get it started, and then it got to the point where it was going, so I'm like, I'm busy, I'm gonna step aside, but we always brought our equipment down to help, and I know that, I thought the last couple of years, one person in particular came and got a skid loader. We're willing to still do, at least volunteer a machine. I don't know if that helps, but, or two for that matter, just depends on timing.
I think it's, the machine's not fault, it's more, you get to the point where you can't do anything with
You
the
need the
machine, and you need
sweepers.
3 or 4
Hand
guys with some sweepers.
Shovels, yeah.
Shovels, and those guys just disappear.
Yeah.
And you're going,
I think it's just the
Come on.
frustration of lack of respect at the end, but they say they're gonna help clean and then he's all by himself.
Initially, I thought they did pretty good, but
Right.
they've got a little lax, and I think,
Yeah.
my opinion, if this is gonna continue, then you should guys should be compensated for some of, I mean, it's an expense on the equipment and the manpower.
And last year they got the little loader from, GMC or whatever.
yeah.
But they didn't use that loader to scrape up any of the wood chips. Tim did it all in our loader, which, I get it, it's just a demo machine, right? That they bring over. But, and I'm not expecting anybody to go rent a street sweeper to clean up the chips, but after you clean up with a loader, I mean, we do need to run the sweeper, cause we gotta protect our storm sewers too.
Well, but at what point does that not need to be their responsibility to be sweeping all that stuff up? I hate to be a stickler like that, but if your event requires this and you're gonna put it in the middle of our city streets, it's technically their responsibility to clean it.
Yes.
I was just gonna say, maybe, like he said, maybe you just come up with the price that you guys charge for your equipment hourly, and you charge for your labor hourly. It offsets all your costs, even overtime, and you just put it out there. No matter what event it is for this or future events, this is your cost,
And that's where
if it's asked
But
for.
this one is a little unique, and the cleanup is not just moving cones and
Right.
that's it. This is
But I'm
some
saying,
pretty intense cleanup, yeah.
by having an hourly fee, it might entice their volunteers to stick around and help, so they're
Well-
not getting a big bill from the city.
Right. Well, and I don't know that we can break that down to hourly just because of the way our overtime is calculated. But if you do some short math and come up with some figures, we could easily be looking at, if they want to consider a fee from $250 to $350, I think that's fair, because that covers our overtime, a little bit of, wear and tear on our machines. And if they don't want to do it themselves, then that should be fairly reasonable. So I would go as far as to make an amend, or make a, whatever.
You've only gotten
I don't know
to
why I
approve
can't
street
think of
closing, and then the rest of it.
Right, so I'll make a motion, to approve the street closing and the approval of 2 employees to help with cleanup at the rate of $350
For both employees.
for 2 employees.
Okay.
Is that, how long do the brushes last on the sweeper?
How often do you use it? I don't know, honestly. Straight up answer, I don't know.
Cause they're pushing,
Didn't they say one time we were going through the purchase of that every 6 months or something?
We're logging hours, so once we go through this brand new broom that we have, I'd be able to give you an hour, just how many hours it takes to clean through the main.
that
room.
room's what, $600 or $800?
I have no idea the
I
cost.
wanna say about $800, and I wanna say,
And
like
then,
I said, every 6 months, but you only have it out 6 months of the year for the most part.
and then the curb brooms are,
2, 3, I wanna say.
yeah, I think that's about right. But those last longer than the main broom.
I think
all
so.
for all the further it is, just hand out a couple brooms and tell guys to sweep. It's not that far. Not you guys, I'm
It's
just
a
meaning in
couple
general.
blocks.
Yeah, but you can push broom a couple blocks, it's not that far.
Do I have a second?
Well, who's paying the $350?
They would pay
That
them to
would
the
be-
city as a fee for our guys.
Whoever's putting it on.
Is there a representative here?
No,
I mean, the event is 11 days away.
right,
And no representative here.
so if they don't like it.
Rich, do you think that's fair?
I don't know if it's fair to make Rich. I don't know if it's fair
This
to.
is why you don't talk to them, you wanna get going.
Here's what I think it's a nice thing to have at that time of the year to get some sales tax. It's awful good exposure for the guys that, or the people that bring their livestock in, but it shouldn't be walk away. I mean, that's common sense, right?
Right.
You would think.
And I know that when we first did it, there was some of us that would stick around and bring a shovel and a broom, or a skid loader, and I, like I said, I think it's a great thing. I think it just needs to be tightened up on the cleanup. And the expenditures are what they are. I mean, we all know what everything costs. Fuel, time, machinery.
So is this a
My
deposit then,
opinion.
or is it a,
It'd be
it'll just be straight?
Well, then maybe next year they decide they're gonna do it on their own and they can have a second shot at proving themselves.
That's fine.
Got another question?
Well, can you just not approve the 2 employees?
And
I
we
mean,
may
you
do it
can,
this
but-
way, not clean it up.
I think if we approve it this way and they choose not to use the 2 employees, then they're only using part of our approval. If we approve it without the employees and they still would like to use the employees, then it makes it harder for them to use it later.
Okay.
I mean, if this was held during normal working hours, it'd be a different thing, but, I mean, we're paying overtime for, well, 12 hours worth of overtime, or 12 hours,
8 hours.
8 hours of overtime. Right.
Because if they're asking for the employees because they know they can't find the volunteers.
Well, that's part of putting stuff on sometimes, isn't it? So.
I made a motion.
I'll second
One
that.
last thought.
Oh, go ahead, Rich.
It is a pretty extraordinary event. I'm only aware of one other one in the state, and it was modeled after the one in Valentine. It takes a lot of work to put it on, a lot of coordination. Now, I'm not saying it should not be maintained properly, but it does, I mean, there are a lot of people that show up and are downtown doing whatever they're doing, eating, drinking.
Well, no, it's a great thing for the
So-
community, it brings in people.
I think it's just a conversation would be prudent to lay the ground rules perhaps.
So are we giving them the option
I mean,
to
we
pay the 350 and have the 2 employees be there to clean up? Cause
can sure
they'll
do that.
they'll be the only ones there if that's the case.
Right.
I mean, that's what we're gonna be dealing with. So are they given the option of this fee, or are we just gonna straight charge this fee and just plan on our employees being there to clean it up? How do you foresee that working? Or are you giving them the option to say, we don't wanna pay the 350, we'll clean it up ourselves?
I would say we have to give them the option, but, I would say if we put through the motion as I suggested, then we ask our office staff to check with them tomorrow and say, listen, they were willing to approve it at this, with these terms.
Okay, I
If
just
you'd
want
like to
clarity on
accept
that.
these terms, then they can move forward. If they don't wanna do the guys, I mean, we still approve the streets, they can still do the event, no problem.
Right.
And if they just don't wanna accept using our guys, then they decide to do it on their own at no cost.
And then what happens when they all still walk off and go drink the beer and hang out and do their thing and we're left with all the
Well,
streets?
and if our guys have to come out, then we charge them, we make it known, like, if our guys come out, you get charged, plain and
If
simple.
they don't use the city's guys, then, and the street's a mess, then next year it's gonna be a different story, isn't it?
So it's a loss this year. See where we go next.
Well, they might just agree to pay the 350, but I just wanna be clear on whether they can opt out of that, or if that's what we're gonna charge them, and our 2 guys are just gonna be there for sure, or.
I'm comfortable, I guess, when I made the motion, I'm comfortable with them opting out of that if they'd like
Okay,
to.
that's-
But if they're gonna opt out of it, then they need to make sure that their cleanup is in full.
Yeah, okay, well, I'm fine with that.
Question. I just had a quick question, sir. From a cop standpoint, if they don't clean the streets,
Can we go after anything legally, tickets, anything?
No, because if you're already in, agreement with them, you're either having your guys on standby,
Okay.
and they move in, and then you bill them later.
Okay.
The problems they're gonna have, they don't clean it up, and they don't use RAS to do it, they're not gonna get it next year. That's your.
Yeah, that's, I mean, we can't just go bill them after the fact with no prior agreement of any kind, with no precedent.
They're getting a choice up front.
Yeah, that's where I'm at, is it's either they use the guys to pay the fee, or they do it on their own, and then it's, you're playing hardball at that point for next year, that you're not doing anything without $500 or $1,000 retainer.
Is the on-call person?
And there's realistic inspection after the fact, you didn't see it.
Yeah.
Held at their end of the.
That'll be public opinion, we'll hear about it if it's.
There'll be feedback, yeah.
Alright, motion, this was
Yeah,
made.
second.
Grant,
Yes.
Gibby,
Yes.
Strobeck,
Yes.
Dean.
Yes.
Alright, approve bills and claims, requisition orders, and transfers.
Do we all signatures?
All are signed by council.
So moved, I'll second.
I didn't hear.
Chris?
Would be approved
Dean?
with the mayor.
Yes.
Grant,
Yes.
Gibby,
Yes.
Strobeck.
Yes.
Alright, need a motion to adjourn.
Second.
Dean,
Yes.
Grant,
Yes.
Gibby,
Yes.
Strobeck.
Yes. We are adjourned.
Good.